So today we are doing disc assessments. I have been so excited waiting for this one to come up. I don't know if you guys know this. I was actually going to school to be a psychologist before I decided to become a realtor. So these disc assessments are like right up my alley. I absolutely love them. Anyways, Joe is well rehearsed in the disc assessment and how to really like use them to our advantage. I was actually posting on our collaborative mastermind today about how you can use it to like leverage your own personality when you understand it and know where your strengths are. But then once you realize what other people's disc assessments are, you can use what you know about their personalities to leverage their abilities as well. So anyways, that's my intro. Joe Moretti, take it away. Tell us all the good things.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back. I feel like a regular.
You are, and I appreciate it so much. I don't know if you would really understand how much I love having you as a guest. It's amazing.
Nice. I love being here. I too went to school, and I have a degree in psychology.
Really?
I do. I got a
bachelor's. Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
In psych, yeah. So for me, I wanted to go into neuropsychology. So I wanted to study one specific piece of the brain, but didn't quite work out in my favor. So started my master's thesis. It got disapproved. And then I was like, to hell with this. I will show you. I will never do psychology again. So boy, did I show them. And here I am. So,
oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, neuropsych was my thing. I started writing my master's thesis on the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which sits in your frontal lobe. So that was kind of my jam.
Yeah. I wanted to go for abnormal psychology. So like schizophrenia, like bipolar disorder, like all of that stuff. I was super fascinated with how it like operates in your brain. It was really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't do that because I was the guy that when I got the textbook, like I'd get really excited and I'd read it. So I took 2 years of abnormal and deviant psychology. Mm-hmm. And so when I was doing it, I actually diagnosed myself with multiple personality disorder. I was schizophrenic, riddled with anxiety, depression, and had dissociative disorder. So everything I read, I'm like, oh man, that's me. Like that's me.
You had the bad case of WebMD.
Yeah,
like,
pretty well.
There.
So my diagnostic skills weren't the greatest. So disc profiles. I've been using disc profiles probably for about 10 years now. So I've been doing it a lot. And the science, psychology around disc profiles, it's still the same, but they've actually made adjustments in the last 3 years, good, bad, or indifferent. They've really changed it up. When you used to get your disc profile, and I think if you pay the $50 US or whatever it is, you can get like the full 30-page write-up where it's got like the bars and the chart. But now what they do is they just kind of give you a general term that you relate to, right? Like assessor, networker, coach. Okay. Right?
I was wondering about that too, though, Joe, because the first disc assessment that I ever did, it was like, you're a high D, and then it had a low I. And then I did it again, and then it told me that I am a networker. Thank you. Yes. I was like, why is it different than what I did like a few years ago? Like, it's still like the same. Mm-hmm. However, they've given me a different like reading on it. And I was like trying to go back and forth because Tony told me what she was. And I'm like, okay, but what does that mean when you look at like the D, the I, the S, and the C? Do you know what I mean?
I've heard tale that it's to avoid like labeling just as like, you're a D or you're a high I. They kind of use these broader terms to avoid like pigeonholing. But to me, it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If I'm not,
it's the same thing.
If I'm not a high I, well, then I'm a networker. Like either way, I'm getting labeled with something. That's what you want. You want to be labeled. The reason I like it when they show sort of the different bars and they show kind of where you are above the line, below the line. The reason I like that is because it really looks at your secondary characteristics. And then it looks at kind of where you're going to struggle communicating. But that being said, I actually have a cheat sheet. So, so if anybody wants the cheat sheet, you can let me know and I can send you said cheat sheet. But it breaks down every single term, again, like networker, assessor, coach, and then it shows you where you'd sit on that bar for your primary, secondary, tertiary, and then your last bar. So all 4 are represented. It's not going to be exactly like you, but it'll be pretty darn close. And it's actually a little booklet that I found a few years back when they switched it. So yeah, Skyly, I can get you the booklet. And then when you share out the recording, if you want to give the booklet alongside it as well.
Yeah.
I'll also include, there's a link that we use. We use the Tony Robbins disc assessment.
That's one that I use too, and that
There
I've
you
sent
go.
to everybody. Yeah.
It's my favorite one. I like it because it's simple, but it's thorough, and you're not going through a whole bunch of ads like trying to do it. And sometimes like you'll find one online, you'll run it, and then all of a sudden it's like, we're going to send you your results for $11.99. And then you're like, oh, why did I just spend half an hour doing that? So I like the Tony Robbins one. So if you've got the Tony Robbins, perfect. So disc profiles. Now, we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, but the thing with disc profiles is you can almost break them into two. You've got your natural style and your adapted style. Does anybody know the difference between the natural and adapted style? Okay.
Want me to take
So
a
your
stab at
natural
it?
style
Oh, go ahead.
is, so like Jackie, when you woke up this morning, let me ask you, what time did you get out of bed?
6:20.
6:20. All right. You either have kids or puppies. I'm gonna go on a limb and guess, or you go to the gym.
No, okay, so the market is open at 6. So usually I get up a bit earlier, but it's Friday, so I was in bed a little later than normal.
Yeah, till 6:25. So when you woke up at 6:20, that is your natural style. When we're off this call and you've got no more calls left and you're gonna go grab something to eat, that is your natural style. Right now, Jackie, is your adapted style. That's the style that you've decided to show us. So it's the one that you almost subconsciously work towards. It's not the one that just comes naturally. Now,
Right.
some people, there's a difference. And it's not usually in your primary driver, it's usually in your secondary or tertiary. So number 2 or number 3 is the one that varies quite a bit. Your primary, so if you're like a high D, high I, high S, high C, that one's not going to move too much, but you will see an adjustment, right? So if you kind of stuck them beside each other and held them up, they might kind of look the same, but if you really like looked, they're going to be different. Now, the Tony Robbins looks at your adapted style. So how you show up. So take some of these with a bit of a grain of salt. And I would say that there's about an 85% accuracy rate on these. So there's still some room for error. And if you feel that you're one of those 15% where you're like, this just isn't me, give it to a spouse, give it to your mom, give it to your friend. And I guarantee you they'll look at it and be like, pull your head out of your ass. It's you. Sometimes we just can't see the forest for the trees, right? So get that third party validation, because chances are it's you. So disc profiles, we also don't want to label or generalize anybody. So as I'm going through this and I'm talking to everybody about it, please keep that in mind. Like, it's never like a you people, them, we, you guys, those ladies. Like, it's everybody has all 4 of the primary energies inside them at any given time. But it's what happens through like your external environment that impacts how you draw on those. So for example, if I'm sitting here chatting with Skyly right now, and we're talking about our weekend and haircuts and hey, y'all, blueberry flavored drinks, Skyly's going to have kind of a higher I. And even if I'm having a bad day, I will move to adjust my level of influence to match Skyly's. If I came in and Skyly was like, okay, Joe, I'm going to hit the record and let's go, I would dial my level of influence down, crank up my level of dominance, as well as my conscientiousness, try to bring a whole bunch of detail as fast as I can and make sure I don't repeat myself. So I have that awareness that I need to adjust 80% to somebody else's 20. That is one of the biggest mistakes I see when people are trying to interpret this and figure out somebody else's style. So if there's a breakdown in communication, whose fault do you think it is?
Ours.
Yours. I don't care if you're the person sending the message or receiving the message. It's your fault. As a human being, you should be adjusting your style 80% to somebody else's 20%. And if you keep that as a rule of thumb, it can really help like a first interaction. A really quick trick to find out where somebody's leading from is, this is like $1 million question. If you take one thing away today, I want you to take this. And I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. Ask this question. The next time you meet somebody and you want to figure out what their style is, ask this: what is the best method of communication for us going forward? When you ask that question, it's like opening like Pandora's box. Good, bad, and ugly, you're going to hear about it. And you can tell a lot by somebody by how they like to be communicated with. If somebody was to say, for me, honestly, really quick text message, hit me with the details, like give me the Coles notes, and then we move on. I don't have time for a phone call, right? Okay, well, that's that level of dominance. Be brief, be bright, be gone. Somebody else might say, yeah, you know what? I'd love to just get together. Like, let's talk about it. You want to grab a coffee this afternoon? Let's go for lunch. Okay, well, that's a level of influence, right? Like, involve me. I want to be part of this. I want to meet eye to eye. I want to get a sense of who you are, where you're coming from. If somebody was to say, you know what, maybe this evening, like, just call me on the phone and we can chat. All right, well, that could be that level of steadiness, right? Still that people oriented, but almost like introverted. There's still a bit of a wall there. You're not face to face. You're not direct. You're not at somebody. You're over the phone. You've got a barrier. And if somebody says, well, you know what, the best thing to do is send me an email. I'd like a link of 2 YouTube videos that describe this piece. Plus, I'd also like to know this map, this route, this bus stop, this factor, how much this is, Okay, well, it's conscientiousness. They want to sit there and they want to like absorb the information, right? Task-oriented, introverted. So I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of the time, you can cut through and at least figure out if they're introverted or extroverted, people-oriented or task-oriented, just by asking that one simple question. I think it's the most underutilized question as people who are, again, with a level of proactivity, looking to communicate and build relationships. It's the one question that we don't utilize enough. So if you take anything, take that question. Any thoughts on that?
I feel like that is me though. I'm like, I want to go for lunch. But you know what? I also like quick text messages because I'm like, if I'm busy, then I'm like, I just need to get it done. But okay, I do really.
So let me ask you, disc profile, you are high.
I'm a high D and a low I.
I'm going to challenge you and say you kind of got that backwards.
You think I'm a high I D?
Yeah, I think you're a high D. Sorry, a high I, and then maybe a high D or a high I, low D.
Yeah. It's possible.
Well, I know it's possible. Anything's possible. Right?
But things change too, right? Like if I was to take it again, like over the years, things obviously change, right? So.
Oh, for sure. Right. So your natural response actually just fit that pattern. Interesting how that works, hey?
For me to be like a high I?
Well, I'd like to go for lunch. And I realized that. You and I have gone drinking before, Skylee. So I get it.
I'm a chatty Kathy, I know.
Yeah.
I think it just depends what you can fit into your schedule.
Yeah, if I can fit in my schedule, I would 100% rather go for lunch. I want to get to know people. I want to and I also feed off of people's energy. Like if I'm having a shit day and then I go for lunch with Joe, I'm going to come off of the lunch feeling so much better than I did going into it. It happens.
Sign of a good friendship.
Happens every time. I feed off people's energy.
So but like it can work to your favor, but it can also work to your detriment, right? High I's have the ability for somebody to kind of like take them down.
I do that too. You're right. If Cody's like, meh, and I'm just like, you're killing my vibe. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, my vibe should not be affected by people around me. But when people are meh, I'm like, I got to get out of here because you are draining my soul right now. Yeah.
Like in the words of the warrior poet Kendrick Lamar, bitch, don't kill my vibe.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah.
That's just it. But people can influence you and they can actually like bring that down if you're leading with high I. So has everybody here completed a disc profile? Yep. Just want to make sure that I'm going to kind of talk in sort of broad terms, but if you guys want more clarification, let me know. So I'm going to find, I did a presentation on this like probably about 6 months ago. And I'm just going to pull it up. And it's just a bit of a graphic that we can walk through. And it just kind of gives context to what we're talking about. Now, this is not my favorite picture of the disc quadrants. It'll do for today. So D, dominance. What does dominance mean? Now, I think a lot of times if I start throwing words out, adjectives and phrases, people are like, yeah, okay, I get it. But let's look at a real life example. So dominance, think of it as an ambulance driver. So like Tony, if you and I were ambulance drivers, and let's say we pull up on the scene of a very horrific car crash, We get out of the ambulance and I'm going to say to you, all right, Tony, I need you to grab the stretcher. I need you to go get the air masks and I need 3 rolls of bandages. And you'd be like, yeah, Joe, got it. At the same time, what I need you to do, you go phone for backup. Please make sure this road flares out like boom, 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 boom. We're not sitting there talking about how we feel. You're not like, oh, geez, Joe, this looks like shit. Oh man, I'd hate to be that dude in the Honda Civic. Oh, damn. I'm going to get a picture of this. Right? No, it's very surgical, almost like a CEO. Come in, give me the details. I want all the reports. What are we doing about it? Go, right? Be brief, be bright, be gone. So this is the sort of the quadrant, like anything that is sort of see the white lines there, dividing it into 4. Anything above the line, that is a level of extroversion. Below the line, introversion. And we get the line sort of going down the middle. To the left, we have your task-oriented brain. To the right, we have your people-oriented brain. So if we look at dominance, that is task-oriented, extroverted, right? So again, just think of it as an ambulance driver or be brief, be bright, be gone. So not always a huge forethought into someone's feelings, what somebody else might think. Is just come in, get it done, and then we're out. People who typically show high in dominance are going to be very like big picture thinkers, very blunt. And it's like that get shit done quadrant of your brain. So if we sort of flip over, actually, before we flip over, personality conflicts. So somebody who's showing high in dominance may have a personality conflict with who? With what? What quadrant that you'd have a conflict in?
I want to say C.
C. Okay. Anybody else?
I say S.
S.
I was going to say S too.
Okay. 2 S's and a C. The S's take it. Majority wins, right?
Dang.
Conflict comes diagonally. So think about it. Somebody who shows high in dominance, I'm going to tell you what to do. I need you to do it and then go. Versus somebody who shows high in steadiness. I don't know how I feel about this. Last time we tried that, this is kind of what happened, right? How's that going to work between those 2 personality types? The person showing dominance is going to be like, oh my God, just do it. Like, just shut up and get it done. The person showing high in steadiness is going to be like, this person has no idea what they're doing. This is crazy. This isn't the process. Right now, I feel like I'm not being valued or listened to, right? So again, you're getting that immediate conflict. So if we flip over to I's, that is your level of influence. That is your those people who are like people. Those people you are energized talking to. Again, same thing. Also big picture thinkers, but implementation can sometimes be an issue because this is extroverted, people oriented. Those people that get lost a little bit, maybe in details, you ask them to do something, maybe you got to tell them twice and then it comes back and there's a bunch of spelling errors, but you had a good time talking to them. That's your level of influence. So enthusiasm, optimism, like those people who maybe even like here as I'm doing it, like talking with their hands, very excited. People who want to build that bridge, right? Make that connection. And it's not even so much about victory, but it's like victory with flair. I don't want to just win the race. I want to win it by a mile. And if I go across the finish line, my arms are going to be up. I'm going to have an amazing interview at the end, right? It's victory with flair. Also, people who show high in influence can sometimes have a fear of disapproval. So if you've ever sort of had that, like, oh, you know what, these people don't even like me. Like, what am I even doing here, right? That's also a trait of somebody who shows high in influence. So somebody who's going to show high in influence is going to have a lot of difficulty, in some cases a personality rub, with somebody showing high in conscientiousness. So conscientiousness is like your detail side of your brain, right? Like it's like your inner like engineer. Somebody who's very like just very focused. I need time to think, versus somebody who's showing high in influence is like, yeah, let's just do it. Don't worry about it. Stats, numbers, who cares? Let's just go. So you can see where that conflict is going to occur. So let's look at steadiness. Steadiness is an interesting one. It's almost like that human resources compartment in your mind. And it is the introverted, people-oriented, right? So this is sometimes people who might like walk into a party and just kind of like sit back against the wall, look for someone to talk to, and then like glom onto them, right? Not the people who are going to come like running into a room. What's up, motherfuckers, right? Not that person. So this is a person who relationships, process, very, very important. Well, it worked in the past, should work again in the future, right? So this is also like your values center, right? Like your core, your inner. And it's a huge focus on like loyalty, helping others, effective communication, right? Very calm, supportive. These are sort of people that kind of feel their way through situations, right? A lot of gut feelings versus knee-jerk reactions. And people who show high in influence are going to expend a lot of energy multitasking. Or if you do show high in steadiness, how do you feel about confrontation? You've got to have a critical, see, Jackie's like, all right. So Jackie, I'm going to assume you lead with a level of steadiness. Also adopting to change. For me, you can change anything, no matter to me. I'll roll with it. I'll figure it out. But for somebody who shows high in steadiness, that could, like, routines, change, interruption can really like derail you. And people who, again, show high in steadiness are going to have a little bit of that personality rub with somebody who shows high in dominance. Just because, again, you've got that rush decision versus like, wait a minute, like, I just, give me a sec. Don't know how I feel about it yet. So again, introverted, people oriented. We flip around. Let's talk about this last fourth quadrant. So this is again, your engineer brain, your lawyer brain, your mathematician brain, accountant brain. This is your detail center. And a lot of people live in this area. So this is your emphasis on quality over quantity, right? Your expertise, accuracy that's where this is coming from. Again, independence, objective reasoning, detail, really, really important. So goals for somebody who shows high in conscientiousness: correctness, accuracy. That's what they're going to value, right? And they're going to expend a lot of energy, like, again, it's almost like the steadiness, multitasking. Or if you have those people who hold on to a task and won't let it go, won't delegate, won't like show somebody else how to do it because they can do it better than anybody else. That's that conscientiousness in your brain, right? Introverted, task oriented. So they're going to expend a lot of energy, like I said, letting go of those tasks, also making quick decisions. Those people who are, I really need to think about this overnight. I need to take the weekend. Don't rush me, right? So when you're communicating with somebody, like really focus in on them and allow them time to make their decisions, because there's nothing worse than rushing somebody who's interested in details and going like, I just need this now. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. That's going to be like nails on a chalkboard. Also be diplomatic, right? Allow them time to think, listen to what they're saying. Does anybody here, I think I might have said this before, does anybody on here know what rhetoric is?
Isn't it like useless conversation or something?
So things like, let's go, let's win the day, you can do it. That's rhetoric. Words that like
mean nothing.
Yeah. So somebody who lives in the conscientiousness or has that as a driving energy, you will disengage them like that just by leading with those terms. Whereas somebody who's high in influence, let's go, okay, right? Like, let's go get it. Yes. You'll fire somebody up. But in this case, you'll actually bring somebody down. And that sort of brings the conversation full circle and the value of understanding where people in your life and people on your team live in this chart. Now, I can't motivate anybody to do anything. I can't. It's not a thing. Back in the 80s, it used to be this huge concept, like how to motivate a team, right? Everybody's heard about it. Oh, I don't know how to motivate them. I'm a firm believer that you either come motivated or you don't. I can't teach it. I can't make people motivated. All I can do is inspire the will to win, right? You can leave here being like, yeah, okay, I'm fired up now. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, okay, Joe, let's go do it. But again, just even choosing your vocabulary and understanding who your audience is, you can either inspire or just completely drop the wind out of the sails. And there is nothing worse than feeling somebody either doesn't care about you, is trying to sell you, or isn't truly listening and understanding what your needs are. And this is the key to cut through that. Understanding where you live in this quadrant, what inspires you, what motivates you internally, how you like to be communicated with, and then understanding those potential for conflict down the road. So that's the value of understanding the disc profile. I know it was kind of a quick run through, so I'll kind of open it up. I mean, any questions that you guys had?
So after doing the disc assessment, like I was told that I was a coach, but then it doesn't tell me anything about the letters, like if I'm a D,
Okay.
an I, and S.
Yeah.
So I don't know where to put myself in that circle.
That's it.
Yeah, I have it right here. Why don't I pull it up? We can just spend a minute talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I found frustrating too, is because like I said, when I did it originally, it said like the DI profile. And then now that we've talked about it this year, I remember having everybody do it and they were like, oh, I'm a coach, or there was a couple other ones that came up and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. And like I can't find it anywhere online.
Well, it just so happens you don't even need to look for it online, because guess what?
Perfect. Oh,
You
and
gotta
I have
IS.
it. So you were a networker?
Myself, I'm a coach.
Yep, you're a coach. Okay, so we need to go to page 10. There it is.
Perfect.
So this is like, again, the style chart of somebody who shows high as a coach, right? So you're going to have your level of D. So your dominance, it's going to be pretty well below that line, right? So that's almost like I said, like that get shit done mentality. But through the roof, you are a people person all the way through, right? So you're really, really high I and then high S. So whenever you're seeing anything above the line, that means more than 50% of the time, you're going to lead with those two energies. Less than 50% of the time, the other two are going to pop up. It also means when you've got something above the line as a secondary trait, in some cases, it is your fallback when you're having a bad day. So if you're high I and you're having a shit day, you're going to revert probably back to that steadiness. You're going to be butthurt. Why don't they like me? This is personal. Can't believe she said they're a
I
jerk.
have to redo that because I generally don't give a shit.
Well, according to this, you do. Just saying. I'm just saying.
I guess if it's like from people who I don't know, I truly don't care. If it was someone in my circle, then yeah, I'd be butthurt.
So again, right? Natural versus adapted, right? People you know versus people you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what the coach is going to look like. Skyly, what was yours?
The last time I did it, it said I was a networker. But then the first time I did it, it said the DI. But then just what you did now, it said that the networker's high I. Apparently, I don't actually have a D in my profile anymore.
You do. It's below the line. So I'd say, like, again, on a bad day, that's where you're going to revert. I, a lot of the time, show up as a networker, because for me, I typically lead with one like energy, kind of like you do, right? Almost like a one trick pony. Like no matter what, like I'm going to have a great conversation, no matter how I'm feeling, I'll fight through it, push through, and I get like charged up by having a great conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Like I will leave this like on a high level.
Yeah.
Because I get to come in and hang out with you guys and chat and, talk about stuff, right? So I'm going to leave here feeling like energized. On a bad day, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to come in, say what I need to say, and I'm getting out. Like, peace. Let me do my thing. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Go away.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because I actually it doesn't happen often to me, because usually I'm like, usually I can just like charge up and pull through. But yesterday I had a few Zooms. I was like, I literally can't have this conversation right now. I was like, can you just tell me what I need and then I can move on with my day?
So what traits are you showing in that bad day, in that moment?
It would have been the D, because that would have been like quick text message, give me what the hell I need. Tell me what it is you want to tell me so that we can like move on.
You got it, right? Be brief, be bright, be gone.
Yeah. And he kept trying to talk to me after, and I was like, I'm not into this today, which is weird for me, like really weird. I talked to Cody about it actually last night. I was like, I was in a Zoom today and I literally just like could not bring myself to life.
And it happens. That's the importance of at least having that knowledge and that understanding that on a bad day, this is what you can expect. And so if you have that self-realization, you're like, okay, well, right now I'm definitely showing a level of dominance. So what do I need to do to get that level of influence back up? Go for a walk, like talk to a friend, go get energized by doing a thing. Because if you just keep going, that level of influence is going to just keep sinking, and that level of dominance is going to keep getting higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because as you go throughout the day, like those things can even vary. So it can vary going throughout the day, but it can also vary task by task. So if I'm sitting here working on a spreadsheet, you know, I might have the music on in the background, but chances are I won't, because I just need to be so focused on what I'm doing. Right. Like I need to be dialed in. I'm working on a spreadsheet, trying to come up with something. You know, it's wearing me out. Like I can't have anything around me. And that's that understanding that I have a very low conscientiousness.
You know what? It's funny to say that too, is because we were doing EMA yesterday, and I always do like a pretty like in-depth like breakdown. I was on my computer for hours doing this breakdown, and I hated it. And I mean, like, I pulled through, I did it, but like the last two properties I was going through and giving my breakdown on them, I had to like really like pull myself through. I was like, just two more. And I had my Zoom right in the middle of it. So you're right. I was like zonking down. But it's funny. It's funny what you do, like what role you play. So for example, Tony's an ISA. She has like the high I, so that makes complete sense. For Cheryl, I know she's somewhere in the CS category. She does have I in her as well, because I know that she does like being with people, but she is quite organized and like diligent in what she's doing. Like she has notebooks coming out of her yin yang and a whiteboard and all that stuff. So it's funny where people fall on the assessment, what roles they actually play on the team, because that's just where they enjoy being.
So do you want to hear something else funny?
Yeah.
Let's look at who we have on the call. So we've got there's 5 of us here, right? So I'm high I for the most part, Skyly, Tony. We're 3 people with our cameras on and microphones on. Okay. We have Jackie, and again, we haven't talked too much about it yet, Jackie. So I'm going to assume you're probably high S. So Jackie's got a camera on, microphone off, right? So there's a level of separation. Oh, it's like I just got called out. Shit. So now Jackie's going to have to dial up the I, right? But again, there's that level of separation. And we've got Cheryl, who again, high S, I would imagine, high C, no camera, no microphone. I have a loud household. I don't know, right? But again, it's that level of separation. So sometimes, like again, me being high I, in some cases I don't care. Like there's usually like a cat jumping on my desk. Sometimes you can hear my wife like making something in like the freaking ninja bullet thing in the kitchen. I'm just like, who cares? It's all part of it, right? But again, you get that sense of kind of like who's who in the zoo, even just by people showing up, and then the level of separation or walls they put up when we're coming on these calls. So interesting, hey?
It's funny. I'm sitting on my bed. I don't even fucking care.
Always in your bed.
I know I am. I usually have a blanket too. I'm just like, I'm here for it. I don't even care.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're working all day. May as well be comfortable.
Yeah. And then Callie's like, I'm a fluid person. I'm also a Gemini. There you go. So you can completely switch like at the drop of a hat, 2 people in one. So that's kind of disc profiles in a nutshell. Like Jackie, do you remember what word they used to describe you?
So I did mine in July. So I'm an SI. So I just saw harmonizer. Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice. Love it. Again, I can send you guys a copy of the hey Callie.
I was laughing at her popping on too.
She's like, screw this guy, man. I've dealt with this. Fuck that, Joe. So what I'll do is I'll send you guys a copy of, I'll give it to Skyly and she can distribute it. I'll send you a copy of that sheet with disc profiles. Like try to do it like once a year. I always try to do mine once a year. I don't think I've done it in over a year though, but I try. And you'll notice, like little sort of dips.
That's changed for sure.
Yeah, it can change. It might not change drastically, but you'll notice it in your like second and third trait. Those will be the ones that'll sort of move a little bit. The fourth is usually pretty static, but those middle 2 are the ones that kind of bother me.
Okay, question for you now about relationships, because I find it extremely interesting that Cody and I are quite opposite. And so we do rub each other the wrong way because our profile, you talk about the profile and it's like, Cody and I are renovating this house, as you guys know. And I'm like, fuck it. Like, let's just do it. And Cody's like, no, you got to like put the the tarp down so you don't make a mess, and you got to do this. And I'm like, I'll just clean it later, or I'll redo this part again. I don't care. I'm like, I'm just starting to paint. I don't care. I'm ripping things down. I don't care. He gets like about it. And so it's funny that like, I mean, we've been together 13 years, and I'm like, how can I be in a relationship with someone who's so opposite, and that you do?
That's
like,
so complimenting though, I
balances
think, because
Yeah,
he's,
it balances you out.
yeah,
Yeah.
you get him moving, and then he makes sure that you're looking at the details and ironing those parts out.
So
It's-
two
yeah.
schools of thought. Number one, birds of a feather. Misery loves company, right? For the most part. Number two is opposites attract. So you can kind of look at it from two sort of different aspects, but I would also challenge you to say, so between you and Cody, who's adjusting the 80%? Are you adjusting 80% to Cody, or is Cody adjusting 80% to you because you're typically a tornado in a trailer park?
I think
And Cody's like,
to
just think
me.
of like a trailer park in Alabama, tornado goes through and he's just like one dude pushing a broom going like, oh my God, right? Like there's 1,000 destroyed trailers. He's one dude with a broom. And
He's
so
like,
again, what I would
you know.
say, major compliment to Cody, because Cody's probably doing 80% of the just like, this is killing me, but Skyly is going to do what Skyly's going to do. I've come too far.
Yeah, I think that's actually what happens for
Right?
sure.
So when those things happen, look at who's doing the adjusting. That's one piece of it. Then the other piece is if I'm ever building a team, I don't want two Joes. God
That's-
help us if we have two Joes.
That is fair, actually. You're right. You kind of need someone on pillar so that yeah, you're right. I never thought of that.
So us, for example, like us as a team, like I'm high I, low D. Jason is high I, high S. He is the most sensitive guy I've ever met in my life. I've never met a male with more feelings and emotions than Jason. He's like a girlfriend. I don't mean that, no disrespect, but as a guy, I'm just not used to having that many feelings, right? And he gets butthurt.
He won't agree with that though. It's funny because I talked to him and he's like, I just don't care about these things and da, 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 da. But like you said, you always have to give it to third party validation, being like, really?
He's very,
He will
very
never admit
sensitive. He is a feeler.
He's a
Big
feeler.
time. If he thinks I'm mad at him, it'll be like text, phone call, text. Like he's very much a feeler. So he listed my house, I guess a month and a half ago. Right. And so
He did it personally for you?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at him go. He came out of the shadows.
Yeah. Came out of retirement. Right. So he'd sold my house. And on our team, we don't pay our half of the realtor fees. So whatever half goes back to Jason or the agent on our team, we just give it back to the business partner, right? So I didn't pay, so I only paid like half the fees on my home when I sold it.
Yeah.
So I got the other half kicked back. And what I did is I bought Jason a really nice pair of shoes. A really nice pair of shoes, right? Bought a pair of sneakers that I know he was eyeballing, but just didn't pull the trigger yet. So I bought him these sneakers and I took him over and I'm like, hey man, I just really wanted to say thank you. And dude almost starts choking up and he's like, I'm only going to wear these on special occasions. I will always keep these clean. Every time I wear these, like he had this big thing and I was like, hey man, you're welcome would be cool. But he's like holding them. And every time he wears them, he's like, I always think about you. These are my closing shoes. Again, he associated an emotion with those shoes, which is cool, right?
It's really sweet.
I think it's very sweet and thoughtful. But he's a feeler. Me, I'm not always a feeler. I'm more, again, I have that level of I. On our team, like Caitlin is high D, high C. You get one hug from Caitlin per year. One. And it is on December 24th. So if you're getting a hug from Caitlin, other than that, something has happened and like somebody's passed away, or she thinks you're going to take the toaster in the bath. That's when you get a hug.
Do you think that eyes are huggers then?
Eyes are
because
huggers.
I'm a hugger for sure.
Oh, 100%. It's that connection.
I'm not.
You're not a hugger. That's the
No.
S in you.
I only became a hugger like with Bobby because like I had to keep it. No, I'm not.
I'm a
Right?
hugger.
So Paige on our team, high steadiness. I can never say to Paige, I need you to do A, B, C, and D, go. And when I do that, I always get the same reaction. Paige's reaction is like, okay. And that's when I know I've done wrong, right? So reading people's reactions, right? You can sort of gauge where it is. But, Jackie Prevost on our team, high D. So at any given time, I've got people all over that spectrum. And as a team leader, I actually have every one of our agents, everyone on our team, I have them complete a DISC profile, and I actually have it mapped out at the office. So if I ever forget, or I'm looking at onboarding somebody, I can be like, sorry, Jason, I already got it, Jason. And it can sort of influence my decision, just knowing what I'm going to get on a bad day, knowing that misery loves company, knowing birds of a feather. Like I know.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. Enneagram test. I haven't done that before. I've just heard a lot about it as
Which one
far
is
as like Enneagram test.
There's
like the numbers, right?
yes.
Yeah, the numbers. Yeah.
There's so many of them. There's also like the Myers-Briggs. There's so
Yeah,
many.
right.
I
Yeah.
think they all kind of tell you the same thing for the most part,
Right.
just in a different way. But yeah, if you wanted that validation, definitely hit up another one.
I like the Enneagram because there's so much like on Instagram, like graphics and memes that are like, this is what you love. Like there's just so much about Enneagrams. It's pretty
Mhm.
neat.
Have you've done that one, Kelly?
I have, and I can't remember what I was. I think I had a few different numbers. They said
I did.
that you have to kind of like decide what you are afterwards. Like they'll be like, you're pulling a lot of like 3, you're pulling a lot of 8, like take the time to read about it. And
Yes.
There was one that I did, and it was on a number scale as well. A girlfriend of mine got me to do it. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it told you what your motivations are. So like wherever you fell on the scale, it'd be like, this is your motivator for why you do what you do. And I remember I fell into a 7. And I vaguely remember that the 7 was like external validation, as shitty as that sounds for me to say out loud.
I think that might be the Enneagram. I'm just looking at it right now.
It's like, what is your motivator for you doing what you do? And
In the disc profiles, if you pay the $50 and it gives you like the 30 pager, it breaks down all those motivation pieces as well. Like it tells you like, and it comes up with this really cool chart, like how motivated are you by love, money, success? Like it breaks it all down.
right.
Are you in it for yourself? You in it for a team?
I need to do it again because it's been a while since I've done it for
Then
sure.
honestly, if you're going to do it again, pay the $50.
I will. Yes.
Get
I
a
will.
really good one. And I'm more than happy to sit down with you and like just rip it apart and show you exactly what's important and what's not.
Yeah, it's cool. We should record it and post it. Like, this is how you break it.
It's like you
I think
rip
it's
apart
a
your
really good
personality.
idea for like how you figure out the best way of communicating with people and kind of trying to get on their level and how it's going to be motivating to them.
Oh, were you asking me how?
No. I just think it's really cool to like
Yeah.
look into it and figure out like, I guess it comes with practice, but as far as like sitting down with a brand new person, you're meeting them for the first time. Like you had said that one question, but do you use anything else like body language or anything else to kind of figure out?
Absolutely, right? For
Yeah.
sure. If you
Yeah.
ask somebody who's introverted a question like about themselves or their personal life, and you see like this, like this,
Yeah.
like this, right? Or fidgeting, sometimes that can be a huge indicator. It's like 90% of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
Right. So you can really get a good read on somebody just by listening. Or sorry, not listening, sorry, my apologies, watching. Right? Just watch and you'll see. And if you really want to get a good judge on somebody, ask a question, stop talking, let them answer, and just don't say anything.
Mhm.
Because in that moment of silence, you'll get a good read if somebody's uncomfortable, if they're not, if they're extroverted, introverted. Embrace the silence in conversations. Like that's also a massive, massive contributor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different tips on effective communication. I think sometimes I'm a pretty shitty communicator. I don't know why. I don't know. I just do. That's something that I kind of work on. I'm also really trying to work on like empathy versus sympathy and not putting my perspective on somebody else's view. So
Empathy is more draining though.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
Like, is that really a change you want to make?
But I think that empathy is also no silver lining, understanding that you don't have an answer
Right.
and just saying like, I'm just really happy you told me.
Mhm.
I wish I could do something, but I can't, but I'm willing to sit here with you.
Yeah, kind of more like shit that sucks instead of, here's your 50 solutions.
Yeah. Like, does everybody here know the difference between sympathy and empathy? Like, do you know it really, really well?
Empathy is
don't.
like when you put yourself in their shoes and you try to understand what they're feeling. And sympathy is just like, oh, I feel bad for your situation. That must suck.
So I know it's not really disc profile related, or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm grasping, but there's a really great video. It's like, I think it's maybe 2 minutes long, 2.5 minutes long. And it is called Empathy. The video is called Empathy. And it's by a speaker. Her name is Brene Brown.
Oh, she does some really good stuff. I've watched a few of her videos. Yeah.
If you really want an eye opener, go watch Empathy by Brene Brown. It'll be the most valuable 2.5 minutes you've ever spent on YouTube. It's animated. Like there's like an animated, like a deer, antelope, and a bear. And it's like, it's almost like a bit of a tear. Like it's funny, but it's also like a bit of a tear jerker. Like you're like, oh.
Yeah, she does really trigger emotions. I've watched a few of her things and I'm like, ugh.
Was she was a social worker, right? Was that she was a social worker
I think so.
or something?
I think so.
And I watched her TED Talk. I know that. Oh, I have to watch that.
And then she takes pieces of her TED Talk and then they animate it, right? And then they put it up on her channel. But there's this one piece where like this deer like falls down a hole. It's in a hole and it's dark. And this bear climbs down a ladder into the hole in the dark. And the bear's like, you know, it really sucks down here, but I'll tell you what, let's just sit in this hole together. And then this deer pokes its head in the hole and it's like, shit, it's dark in there. Anybody want a sandwich? See ya. And then it like takes off. And it's like, that is sympathy versus empathy. Also like adding like that silver lining. Like, oh, that's really shitty. So have you tried this? Or, yeah, well, at least is the least empathetic.
Oh, don't
response.
say that. It's the worst.
At least.
It's such human nature though to want to fix things.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's not out of meanness. I've dealt with a lot of this topic, but
yeah, and a lot of it, you're so right, Callie. It's not about meanness. What it's about, it is that human nature, but it's understanding that piece of human nature and almost like deprogramming yourself. Because we're trained to help, but sometimes what we think is helping isn't. Like it just doesn't, and can kind of make people feel worse. And we're just like, what the hell's your problem? I'm trying to freaking help. And they're like, well, I don't want help. I don't know what I want, right? And that's okay. So watch Empathy by Brene Brown. Like it's freaking amazing.
Something that I have done over the last, I don't know exactly like where I learned this from or like where I picked it up from, but something that I have done in the last few years, I guess, when like there's just nothing that you can say, obviously, because you're just, again, there's like no words. I'm usually like, I'm just going to hug you right now. And then we just sit there and hug and that's it. And I'm like, there's no words. There's no point in even saying words.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm just going to hug you. And that's it. And I will cry and hug you if you cry. And that's it.
And sometimes that's the best response you can have. I'm just going to hang out with you. And I'm really happy that you told me.
Yeah.
I wish I could help, but I'm just going to sit here and be here for you.
No words. Not even going to try. It's not, nope.
Also, people like
you
to
already
say,
know help.
I know how you must feel.
No.
Or I get it. I understand. No, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Right. So again, true empathy is acknowledging I don't understand. I'm not you. I can imagine how you must feel. But I'm just going to sit in this hole. Right?
I like the little graphic that's actually like a very good graphic. Even like teaching for kids too, right? Like,
well, I made my kids watch that sympathy. Well, I made my daughter watch the sympathy versus empathy video. My daughter's like the least empathetic person. She's whatever in that disc profile is all D, all C, all the time. And my son is all I, all S, all the time. I have 2 kids and they're both like night and day.
Kids are like also very self-centered. It's pretty normal to like a certain age. Like a lot of the times, like with grief and things, like or divorce or something, up to a certain age, they will always think it's their fault because they are the star of their own lives or the middle of their own universe. I think that, I don't know how long that lasts, but I think it is like a practiced thing, sympathy and empathy, and
Yeah, I think
it's a bit to learn.
It's a very valuable skill that I wish I knew earlier on.
You have to go through things in order to learn the skills. You don't just wake up knowing how shitty things can be.
Unless you watch that Brene Brown video, then you know.
Exactly. We will be the bear.
Yeah, I'll be the bear in the hole.
Yeah. I like
Right.
how it's bear though. I was like, is it gonna be a spinoff of that? He's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna have a snack down here. I was like, why is it a bear? Shouldn't it be another deer?
I know, I was
Interesting.
like, is he gonna be like, this sucks, but I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat you.
Oh, you too. Right, for sure.
That's what I thought was gonna happen for sure.
So I know we kind of went off topic of disc profiles. Any other questions you guys had for me on disc profiles or empathy, I guess? No? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I need to redo mine. I don't know what I am. I don't know who I am, where I am, or what I am.
I'll redo mine you should redo yours. And Joe, quick question. How do you deliver tasks to someone who's a CS profile then? Because you said like whenever you do that. So I'm like, how do you effectively tasks over
So with Paige, let's take Paige, for example. Hi, S. I would say, hey, Paige, I was thinking, and I'd love to get your advice. How would you feel if we created like a YouTube calendar and rolled it out to the agents? And I'm going to help you with it, and we're going to do it together. And she'd be like, wow, Joe, like that's a really great idea. I feel pretty good about that. Great, Paige. How do you think we could start it? Well, I don't know, Joe, but I can look into it. Perfect. What help do you think you're going to need from me? Right? Tone, feelings, emotions, support, process. Now,
That would kill
Caitlin,
me.
what was that?
That would kill me.
Right?
It would kill me too. I'd be like, ooh, it's a little slow conversation, aren't we?
Yeah, right. But Paige would be like, okay, like I can do this and we'll do it together. I feel good about it. Caitlin, I'm like, all right, Caitlin. So 3 people just signed up on our coaching site. I need you to take each one of them. We need first name, last name, email address, plug it into the system, make sure they get the piece that's automated. What do you think you're going to need from me? Nothing, Joe. I got it. Perfect. Shoot me an email when you're done. Awesome. Monotone. Boom, 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 boom. Done.
Yeah.
Got it? Got it.
Checklist. Here
Yeah.
you go.
Done.
Kill it, girl.
Somebody who showed, and then let's take
The eye profile that I
Monique.
just said kill it. Rhetoric.
So Monique on our team, right? Hi, C. I would send her an email that would say, okay, Monique, we're setting up a new payment system for the coaching side. Number 1, I need you to go in through Stripe. Here's the information that you're going to need. When you get to the info tab, I need you to fill it out completely. Number 2, I need a spreadsheet created in Excel. Once that's done, I need three tables, and I need to know the PST payable. I need to know the coaching student last name, and I need to know the monthly invoicing amount because I want to be able to flick and I want to see that. And I need that running right from Stripe. Third thing I need, right? Just very direct. I need this, and here's exactly what has to get done inside there. Then I need this. Here's exactly what needs to get done inside there. I'd send it on an email so she could almost use it as a checklist.
And what
Right, so this-
profile do you say that one is?
Hi, C, like C.
I
Here's
feel,
an email.
Cheryl, I think you're an IC.
So
That is exactly me.
It is you, and you need it broken down as to like what you're doing. So I think that
Yeah.
but you're very like personable, which I think is why I feel like you're an I. But the C is definitely like the way Joe described that. I'm like, yeah, Cheryl needs tasks like that for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Checklists, process, what fits where, what is the workflow? This plus this equals this, right? And then you're able to sort of reference it back. Well, no, Joe, because when you sent me that email, you actually wanted this ahead of that. Oh, right. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Fair.
So that's how I would adjust. Jason, I'd be like, hey, Jay, got some thoughts, man. Let's go for a walk and chat about it. And he'd go, okay. hey, Jay, wouldn't it be great if?
He'd be like, do you want to go golfing at the same time?
Yeah, right. Like, and that's just it. We go out, we have a good time. And I just need to say, hey, I'm thinking about this, but I would also need to bring solutions. Hey, man, I'm thinking about running this webinar. So in this webinar, here's kind of the outline I was going to do. What are your thoughts? Well, Joe, that's actually a really good idea, but I'd change this, change that, right? In one ear out the other. Yeah, okay, cool. And then I just go do it anyway. Right. But again, he wants to feel involved.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing for him is when I've done or changed a whole bunch of shit in the real estate team or on the coaching side, and I didn't tell him. And he's the first person to be like, well, you didn't tell me you were doing that. I'm like, yeah, but it works. Well, yeah, but you didn't involve me, right? Again, that level of I, that level of S, involve. So really just know your audience, adjust your 80%, even if you think it is going to suck the life out of your eyeballs. Be a good human being. Don't be a piece of shit and just adjust. So that's all I got, guys.
It's good. Thank you
That's
so
good.
much.
Good
Hey,
stuff.
you're welcome. Glad I could come back again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's amazing. We really appreciate you coming. And you can talk about this stuff way better than I can. I love it. I just can't explain it. So
One last thing before we go. Are you or anybody on your team maybe going to Orlando next month?
I'm going on a houseboat. So not me. I don't think anyone on the team's going.
Not me.
What's in Orlando?
It's the
Orlando's the big like EXP conference.
EXP Con.
Oh.
So all the Icon
Mhm.
agents get invited. And Jay messaged me as soon as you guys registered and was like, are you coming? And I looked at the dates and that's when we have our houseboat.
Mm.
I'd be bailing on that houseboat right quick. They
can't.
blocked off Universal Studios for everybody.
I'm so sad right now. It's mine and Cody's like joint stagette or whatever, because we're getting married in October. So we're doing like a houseboat with all of our like wedding party.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. I don't know if you got my new address for the invite. I just haven't got it yet. I just didn't want
You
to
just
panic.
said that you'd be bailing on the houseboat. So
Well, I'm not going to your stag, but I'm just saying, I don't think Jason and I got the invite. So I was wondering if he sent it to my address or his, but I feel like I can put it in the chat. So
you guys would be a lot of fun, actually. I'm getting matching flamingo outfits. So if you be into wearing a matching flamingo outfit, you can come.
as long as I can be the guy flamingo, he'll be the lady. So,
Since he'd be okay with that.
oh, he'd be
Probably-
fine. He didn't matter. He's a little spoon. Don't worry about it.
He's like, why even ask?
Yeah.
Of course I'm the lady flamingo.
Yeah, he's a little spoon. Every time we check into a hotel, it's like the same joke. It's like, yeah, 1 king for 2 queens, please.
I'm king for 2 queens. Oh no.
I say that every time we go in, and he goes like beet red. He's like, they're gonna know I'm the little spoon. I'm like, yeah, well, look at you. You're the little guy.
Oh my God.
Well, I gotta say, love hanging out with you guys. If you guys have anything that you want me to come back and talk about, please let me know. I'm always happy to come in and drop some value. And yeah, I love hanging out with you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
We'll set
Have an
you up.
amazing weekend.